Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Joni Ogg, and on behalf of Travel Professional News, homebasedtravelagent.com, and findahosttravelagency.com, I want to welcome all of you to today's webinar, and I really do appreciate your taking the time out of your day and your week to join us because these are busy times these days with all the holidays. So our speaker today is Sharon Magg, the Regional Sales Director for Allianz Partners. Now, Sharon has actually been with Allianz Partners for over 23 years, and for the past 10 years, she's managed the West and the Midwest portion of the nationwide sales team. She takes a very hands-on approach with her team for the many partnerships in her region. She's a consistent and key contributor to creating and also implementing training programs, growth initiatives, and solutions for agency partners with varying types of needs. And today's webinar topic is Big Relief for Customers and Big Win for Business. So remember that you're all muted, but we do welcome your questions, as you know. You can type those in at any time in the question area that you see on the right-hand panel on your screen. So when the presentation is all over and Sharon has completed her presentation, we'll take as many questions as we can. So let's turn over the microphone to my friend. Welcome, Sharon.
Thanks so much. And again, thanks everybody for joining. I know insurance is such an exciting topic. We are joking these days that no one ever wanted to talk to the insurance people. Now everybody wants to talk to us. So today what I want to do is I'm going to just review some of the basics, go over some of the things, an introduction of Allianz if you're not familiar with us. And then also we have some exciting news where we're updating our products, and that is going to be effective December 10th. All right, so just to kind of share with you the Allianz advantages, and this kind of covers for you and also your customers. We definitely, for your business, have unmatched ancillary revenues. So insurance has become an excellent revenue stream. We pay commission the month after you've sold the policy. So as you're building back your business, this is a great product to sell because you do make commission right after the following month. So you don't have to wait for your clients to travel. We also offer commission protection on the bulk of our products. So that's also important because, as you know, how hard you all work, if someone has to cancel for a covered reason and your commissions are recalled, you can make a claim on your lost commissions. So another reason why it's important to sell Allianz, and we are one of the few third-party insurance providers that still offer commission protection. We have new technology solutions. So our Agent Max Online tool is available for you to utilize. It's a very easy, simple way to process policies. And it's definitely something where we pride ourselves on the ease of use of that tool. We've received several awards for it. So if you're not familiar with it, it's agentmaxonline.com and very easy to utilize. We also have a lot of marketing campaigns that you can use for yourself. Those are also located in Agent Max. So this is just another way for you to get the message out. You can put hyperlinks on your site. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with banner ads and things like that as well. And then we have a sales team of 10 in the field. So there's 4 on the West Coast, 4 on the East Coast, and our district directors are available to help whenever they can. So we are very hands-on sales team. We are always doing different types of trainings. If you want to reach out to your local district director, they're always happy to help where they can and conduct trainings. And then for your customers, we are always trying to improve on our products. We have a thing called Voice of the Customer, and that's something that we try to make sure we're hearing from your customers and also from you, where there are things that we can improve our products. So when I'm talking about some of the product enhancements that we're going to be making in December, a lot of these are things that we heard from our clients. And then also our global expertise and footprint. I think this is another reason why partnering with Allianz is important. We are the world's largest insurance provider, and we are the 22nd largest company in the world. So having that global reach is certainly important. And then we also have some SmartBenefits. So these are easy payable claims that we allow for your customers to have access to without having to go through a lengthy claims process. And then our Travel Smart app, which is a great app. I highly recommend that when your client is traveling that they download the app, because it has one touch if you needed to call a hospital, an ambulance, the police department, if you have your global geolocator on. So great functionality, and also an award-winning tool that we have. So best-in-class experiences. So we're always looking to see what we can do to enhance the experience that your client may have, whether they're calling in because they need assistance services or if they're filing a claim, and then what we can do to simplify any of those processes. We're always wanting to hear from you, from your clients, and ways that we can improve. So please don't ever hesitate if you get a survey from us, or if your clients get a survey from us. We do want to hear good, bad, or ugly. And then our global reach, as I touched on. So as we are a global company, but we are headquartered in Richmond, Virginia. And then we also have a partnership in Canada and Mexico and our other business units. They're all Allianz companies, and we don't outsource anything. So that's just something to be aware of. Sometimes you could get someone in Canada, sometimes you could get someone in Mexico, sometimes you could get someone in the US. But those are kind of the three countries that we mainly revolve in as far as the travel insurance piece of the business goes within Allianz US. So some of the advantages, there's product differentiation. We definitely have a good suite of products available to you. We have a cancel anytime policy out there. Our policy returns 80% if you're canceling for change of mind. I got in a fight with my traveling companion. This just isn't a good time for me to travel. You get 80% of your investment back. If you're canceling for a normal covered reason, you get 100%. So I believe that we have the most robust cancellation benefit. We also have a non-age rated group product. And this is really a great tool if you do sell groups, because it's non-age banded. It makes it easier for you to quote pricing. And we also have a pre-existing condition waiver up until final payment. Our normal products, you have to purchase the insurance within 14 days of the initial trip deposit. But with the group products, you have up until they make final payment or they've paid in full and can still qualify for the pre-existing condition waiver. And then, as I mentioned before, we have our SmartBenefits. So just to kind of give you a quick overview of the SmartBenefit, let's say, for example, it is tied to our travel delay benefit in our baggage coverage. If, let's say, your flight gets delayed, you purchase our Classic policy, the time frame on Classic, you have to be delayed for 5 hours. When you're selling the policy, there's a place that you can put in the traveler's flight information. If we have that information and we see that their flight's delayed, we are going to send them a proactive email or text message to say, hey, traveler, we see your flight's delayed. You qualify for $100. And they can click on a hyperlink. They can either enter their credit card, debit card information, or routing number of their bank account, and we will immediately send them $100. And that's true for each person on the policy. So if you had a family of 4, that family gets delayed for 5 or more hours, they're going to receive that text message or email, and they would get $400 just to be sitting in the airport. If they don't want to click on the link and they would prefer to just have a claim paid to them via check, they can choose that option sitting in the airport as well. And by the time they get home, they'd have that money probably sitting at their doorstep. So it's a nice benefit, kind of softens the blow if someone has an unexpected delay. And then the other thing that's nice about the SmartBenefits is our baggage coverage. So if your bag's delayed for 12 hours, you can file a claim and receive $100 without having to file a claim with receipts. So we just need proof of the length of the delay, and the reason for the delay, and then they can go ahead, file their claim, we'll pay them $100. If they're missing more than that $100, like they have a benefit up to say $300, they can file a claim with receipts, and they'll get all their money up to that limit on their policy. And same is true with the travel delay benefit as well. If they have more than $100 worth of expenses, then they can file a claim up to the limit of coverage on that policy. And then as far as our technology goes, I mentioned earlier, so we've got Agent Max Online. If any of you are currently using our desktop version, which is a yellow, and it looks like a running man, that is eventually going to be retiring probably in Q1, probably January or February of Q1. So please migrate over to Agent Max Online. That's the best option for you. And then our Travel Smart app, as I mentioned, you can also put your policy information in there. So everything's available to you at your fingertips. And it'll also tell you where the nearest hospitals, pharmacies, clinics are located, which could help if you're in a bind or if you're in an area that you're not familiar with. And we also rate the hospitals, and we'll put a yellow star next to a hospital that we recommend that you would go to if it's in that area. And then, as I mentioned, we have our local district directors, and we just launched a new advisor handbook, which is available in the marketplace. And another thing that we did prior to COVID, but of course, post-COVID, it became so much more needed, but managing policy modifications. So we're very flexible in allowing you to manage and modify a policy. You have up to 770 days to use the policy, and you can modify it as many times as you need to. Hopefully we're getting past the policy modification and people are just booking a trip and taking a trip without having to cancel it and rebook it. But that flexibility still exists, and will be there in the future. So this is just a sample of what our Travel Smart app looks like. If you go to the App Store, you'll find it under Travel Smart, and you can get it either in Apple or Android. It comes both ways. But you can see that there's a flight monitoring, your policy information, and then if you need to contact us, you can click on the Contact Us button, and that it'll call directly to us. So if you're traveling internationally, it will automatically dial our area code in Richmond is 804. It'll automatically dial the 804. If you're traveling domestically, it'll automatically dial the 800 number. So the exciting news that we're going to be wanting to share with you is effective December 10th, 2022, we are offering a new product portfolio or adding additional benefits to our current product portfolio. I do want to point out that in the lower hand part of the slide, it highlights the states that we're launching. There's about 12 outliers of states that have not yet approved our products. Washington and New York are for sure. They're actually on older versions of our products. They haven't even approved our COVID products yet. But we're hoping that we're going to get another larger group of states to approve in February. So hang tight if you don't have, if your clients are living in one of the states that they're not available. We are diligently working with all the different departments of insurance to get these products approved and in the marketplace. But the bulk of them are going to be going on December 22nd. So some of the new covered events are if you get a new job. So let's say, for example, you have a new job, but with your current employer or your previous employer, you had time off, and now you have this new position, and you're going to a new employer, and you can't get that time off now. That's a covered reason to cancel. If you're a first responder and you're called to duty, adoption. So if someone's going through the adoption process and then they find out that they're going to be receiving a baby, and a lot of times the adoption process, it can be you don't know when you're going to get the baby. And so if that's a new covered event. Theft of travel documents. So if your travel documents get stolen, we will help assist you get those travel documents. So if your passport's lost or stolen, something like that's covered. Visa refusal. So if you're trying to get your visa and you can't get it in time to take that trip, that's a covered event. Theft or mechanical breakdown of your vehicle. So in the past, we had where if you got into a car accident en route to your departure, that was a covered reason. Well, now it will also include a mechanical breakdown. So that could be a flat tire. It's not going to count, though, if you run out of gas. So just want to point that out. You have to have a mechanical breakdown or something like that. And then, or if your vehicle gets stolen. School year extension is now a covered event. So if, depending upon what part of the country you live in, if there's a weather-related reason, it doesn't have to be weather, but if there is a school extension, I just always think, I'm from Chicago, so although we hardly ever close our school systems down for bad weather, but there are times, I'm sure Buffalo, New York, those kids weren't going to be going to school anytime soon, although it happened during Thanksgiving. But anyway, something like that. If they missed a few days, had extended, tack it on to the end of the school year, you had a vacation planned, you can't take the vacation, that's a covered reason. And then veterinary covered illness or injury of a business partner. So that is now a covered person that we consider our immediate family members. And then illness or injury, death of a caregiver. So if you have a person that's a caregiver, maybe to an older parent, and then that something happens to that caregiver, and now you have to take care of that parent, then that would be a covered event. Veterinary emergency, I will get into more detail on that. Denied boarding for a medical reason. So this could be, let's say, for example, you are taking a cruise, you go in, before you get on the cruise, they ask you all these screening questions, and a lot of times I think majority of the time they're still taking temperature. And if for some reason they feel like you look contagious or they deny you boarding, that's a covered event as well. And then unable to receive a vaccination. So that would be someone who, let's say, for example, they have a safari book. They don't find out until, X amount of days prior to departure when they have to start getting their shots. Now they're already in probably penalty portion of their trip, and they find out that due to a medical reason, they cannot receive the yellow fever shot. That would be a covered reason for cancellation. So it's not that I choose not to get the vaccination. I cannot receive the vaccination due to a medical reason. So there's a bit of a distinction there. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. So our new veterinary covered events, this is on our Premier plan, and it will cover if your pet gets sick 7 days prior to departure and it causes you to cancel your trip, or if your pet gets sick while you're traveling and you have to leave your trip early and interrupt your trip, that is a covered event. So this is a great product for folks that have pets, and I know those that do, your pet is like your child, and if something happens to the pet, you want to be there to take care of the pet, or if you had to interrupt your trip to come home early. And you just require a note from the veterinarian. And again, this will be available on December 10th and is launching in the states that I mentioned. Well, I didn't read through them, but the states that were on the previous slide, and then will be added to the next batch of states probably in Q1. So we're really excited about that benefit. So our portfolio today, our classic plan, this is kind of our workhorse product. It's the one that we sell the most of. It has kids free. Kids free are unlimited. We don't limit the amount of children that are traveling with an adult. So if you have 4 or 5 children, they're all free. And also grandparents can take grandchildren, same thing. The kids would be free for the grandparents. So if you're doing any sort of multi-generational trips, it's nice because grandparents can get the free children. But what we do is we take the total amount of the trip cost, divide it evenly amongst all of the travelers, and then take the children's trip costs out. So just to do easy math, let's say you've got 10 people traveling together, the trip cost is $10,000, so $1,000 per person. And let's say there's 3 kids traveling with the group under 17, then we would remove their trip costs out, and they'd really only have to cover $7,000 of the trip cost. But let's say grandma and grandpa are paying for the trip, and they have a balcony, and they're taking a cruise, and their cabin is more expensive. you still just take the total amount, divide it evenly amongst all the travelers. So it's bringing the more senior ages price point down. So it ends up being a cost savings to them. So this is something where I think we're the only ones that do it that way when it comes to any of our competitors. And it's a nice benefit to sell when you've got kids. Our medical coverage is primary. So when we're listed as primary on a policy, that means the traveler just files directly with us. They don't first have to go to their insurance, their own personal insurance, and then have them deny it and then come to us. They just file directly with us. So it definitely simplifies the claims process. And that's where I would say supplier insurance, a lot of times their coverage is secondary, and it is worth having primary medical coverage just to streamline that claims process. And as I mentioned, we have those proactive benefits. So what I referenced to earlier, SmartBenefits and commission protection. So that's always key, having that commission protection. As I mentioned earlier, you don't want to do all that hard work to then have someone cancel for a covered reason, but then get your commissions recalled. Cancel anytime, again, 80% cash back if you're canceling for any of our non-excluded reasons. And so we do have a handful of exclusions on our policy. It's if you attempt suicide or commit suicide, if you, well, actually, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. We are going to be removing the mental health and nervous disorder exclusion from our policies. And that will happen with this new launch on December 10th. So this is really actually huge news. And so anybody buying our policies moving forward, if you suffer from anxiety, if you have Alzheimer's, if you have dementia, and that's the reason why you're canceling, that is now a new, it's no longer a general exclusion on our policies. So just want to be clear that all of our old policies have that general exclusion. Our new policies won't. So until the state approves, that exclusion will still be on our policy, with the exception of our cancel anytime policy. So that's not a general exclusion, nervous health disorder, but I will say though, currently today, suicide or attempted suicide is a general exclusion. And then a couple of the other general exclusions are nuclear radiation or reaction, pollution, if a country closes their borders, and war, acts of war. So those are general exclusions. So if you're covering for canceling for anything else, like I mentioned earlier, change of mind, I got in a fight with my traveling companion, then you get 80% coverage. It covers up to day of departure. So if you're canceling the day you depart, that's still fine. A lot of supplier insurance, it's 24, 48 hours before departure that you have to cancel. Ours is day of. It also has SmartBenefits, commission protection, and this product, as it is today, is available in all 50 states, including New York. So I know some of our competitors don't have a product, a cancel anytime product available to New York residents. We do. And then with the travel protection for the Premier plan, we have hurricane warning benefit on that policy. So that's if NOAA names a storm and it is expected to go to the destination you're scheduled to arrive within 24 hours, you can cancel your trip, or if you're in that area and need to come home early, you can interrupt your trip. So if you're selling travel during hurricane season and someone's going to a destination where that could be impacted, I highly, highly recommend upgrading them to the Premier plan because of having that hurricane coverage. Kids are also free on this plan. The post-departure benefits are doubled from our classic plan. And then we also have the SmartBenefits, and commission protection is available here as well. So there are, as we are launching these products, there are a few benefits like the Pet Protector product that are going to be only available on Premier. And then there are a couple of additional covered reasons on Premier as well. And we are also upping the coverage on our Premier product to cover trips up to $200,000 per person, because we had so many requests for trips over $100,000. I never thought in my time that I would be getting all these types of requests, but they were coming in fast and furious, which is great because that means that people were selling a lot of high-end travel. And I think we're going to hopefully continue to see that remain in the marketplace. I know it's probably going to slow down a little bit, but we do not have a product to manage for those types of trips. And then a couple more new enhancements. We have maximum trip length of 366 days. Our current product is 180 days. So we had to make that change because there were a lot of world cruises that were being sold. So now we'll be able to manage those. And then we have a new trip change benefit. So let's say, for example, you had your a trip planned to Las Vegas and you were going to go see Adele, and then Adele cancels her residency. Now you're not going to go on that trip. You have up to $500 to apply towards, maybe if you had to if there was a change fee. I know right now airlines aren't charging change fees. I don't know if those will come back or not, but maybe you decide to go to a different destination and the cost of your airline ticket goes up. That would fall under that $500. And then as I mentioned earlier, I have 12 new covered events. So those are what was listed that I discussed earlier. The other thing, as far as our cancel anytime policy goes, we've also extended the trip length to 366 days. Trip cancellation interruption has increased to 20,000. So previous policy is 10,000, new policy is 20,000. And we also increased the emergency medical coverage to 50,000. So that's really important. And it is also 50,000 on our classic plan because we just had the need and we're getting more and more questions or needs for having that higher level of medical coverage. It includes the $500 trip change coverage and the new covered reasons that I went through before. And then with the travel premier plan, that 366 days, we are now allowing you to purchase this. The policy window length is 1,095 days. So our other plans are maximum length from purchase to travel is 770 days. On the premier plan, it's 1,095, which is 3 years. So this is nice for those folks that are booking travel further out and might be higher end. And so this premier plan is a perfect fit. We've also, as I mentioned earlier, increased the trip cancellation to 200,000 and increased the trip interruption to 300,000. And then our trip change coverage benefit on this policy is 1,000. And we've increased the emergency medical benefit to 100,000 on this plan. So that's good because there are certain countries that require a minimum of 100,000. There's a couple countries in Asia that require that. So this will meet that need. And then they also get the new covered events. So this is just a sample of our advisor resource and our travel advisor handbook. And you can get that by joinallianzpartners.com. That's where a lot of our collateral is housed. And then we also partner with the Travel Agent Academy, and you can take courses there. So it kind of gives you just the general basics of the insurance, but if you're new to travel, this is a great resource tool, and it can kind of just guide you through what you need to know, like I said, as the basics. But if you want a more in-depth, detailed training, by all means, you can reach out to any of our district directors. So this is our team. You've got your field sales west and field sales east. And we have it broken down based by state. And so this is a great, I'm going to leave this slide up here before we start talking, or as we're getting into any questions that you may have, so you can jot down who your individual district director. And then Jeff Schaefer is my counterpart on the east side. I'm the one on the west with the blue jacket on. So just really quick, and I'll bring that slide back. So I just need to remind you, we are an insurance company. We do have terms, conditions, and exclusions that do apply to all plans. So we just need to share this little waiver, but I will go back now to So you can make sure you get any contact information that you need, grab it from here. And then are there any questions?
I just had to unmute myself. Yes, we do have some questions. Sharon, that was awesome. What an incredible amount of information, and a number of people posted how great this was and how helpful it was. You know, insurance, it confuses me, I have to say, to no end. I don't know what it is. You just have to say the I word to me, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do. So you really helped here. You know, travel insurance is a whole different animal than any other kind of insurance, but I can tell you that you definitely cleared a lot of thoughts out for people I know with this information. But we do have some questions, so I'm going to get right to those. First is, do you offer any travel insurance for non-U.S. residents or foreign residents?
Unfortunately, we don't offer it in the U.S. However, we do have other business units globally, and we do have a list of links where we can send the different websites. The unfortunate thing is, though, we don't have, there wouldn't be a way for you to make a commission. We are always working towards seeing what we can do to manage the international traveler need, but it's pretty tricky and it's challenging. But I mean, I've been here 23 years and we are still trying to get it. So at this time, the best resource would be, we can get you a list of links for the different countries that offer travel insurance, and you could have your client purchase it that way.
Okay, so thank you for that. Someone says, I created a group, but have not purchased a plan. However, I have only 6 people left. Does the group policy still apply?
So we have a requirement of 10 or more on our group policy. But if you had a group and you've already marketed it and you already quoted insurance and it falls under 10, we'll allow you to still sell a group. But the rule of thumb is 10. If we see that someone's taking advantage of it, then we'll just pull the group products. Like if we see a lot of groups that are coming through from a particular agency and it's like 2 and 3 or 5 people, then we're going to prevent you from selling the group product. But if there are situations, and it does happen, where you think you're going to get more people, you've marketed it, yes, you can sell a group for less than 10.
Okay, and somebody's asking how you set up a group policy. I think you kind of covered that, but maybe you could just quickly run by that.
Yes, so in Agent Max online, and you do have to purchase the group policy in Agent Max online, there's multiple ways that you can actually process a group. You can do it from an individual perspective. As you get people to sign on, you can sell them the policy on an individual way, or you can do a Excel spreadsheet roster and then upload it into the group policy. So it's a little complicated because of New York. So New York has a different product because they haven't approved our product since 2013. So they have an older product. And then Washington has a different product because they haven't approved our product since 2018, excuse me. And then we have the current products that are available in the marketplace for those states that aren't going to migrate over on December 10th. So I think it's easier if you just, rather than creating different rosters, I think it's easier right now to just sell an individual policy. And when you put the state of residency in, it will automatically bring up the correct product and pricing.
Oh, perfect. Well, that makes it a lot easier. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So with the new policy, have the anxiety exclusions, is it an add-on, someone's asking?
No, it's built into the product.
Okay.
So it's just no longer going to be considered a general exclusion. And we are going to handle it just like we would a medical reason for cancellation. So for example, if someone does, let's say, suffer from anxiety, and they're worried about this trip, then they really need to buy the insurance within 14 days of the initial trip deposit, and it would be considered a pre-existing medical condition, and then that condition would be waived. So it would be just like any other medical condition, and if they do have to cancel, they would have to go to a doctor. A doctor would have to advise them to cancel or interrupt their trip, and then they would just have to file a claim. So it's just working exactly the same way as a medical condition. It's just no longer a general exclusion on our policy. And I believe we are the first third-party insurance provider out there to remove that exclusion from our policies. So we are really excited about that. And the reason why it's not like part of a covered reason is because it's just considered no longer an exclusion. So it just
really
falls
wonderful.
under medical as
That's
normal.
great news, really great
That's,
news.
I think, a huge game changer because, you know, mental illness is, you know, it's much more talked about these days. People are much more open about it, but it's a huge problem. And especially too, if you have an older clientele where, you know, someone, and people are booking trips further out. And let's say someone books a trip 2 years out, and then all of a sudden they start declining with either dementia or Alzheimer's, and they need to cancel that trip. That's no longer a general exclusion. So we are really happy to have that removed because I think it's going to make it a lot easier to sell insurance and even more reason to sell it.
Totally. So if clients bought a policy but don't have any trips booked until after the new policy goes into effect, how is that handled?
So the policy that they currently have is the policy that they have. So the new benefits don't carry over on December 10th. It's only going to be new policies sold after December 10th that these new benefits will be applicable.
Okay. Let's see. Are there similar enhancements to the annual plans, the question is?
The annual plans, we have not made any changes to for this current go-around, but the general exclusion for mental and health is going to be removed from the annual plan. Although, oh gosh, let me find out about that. But I know that the annual plans aren't getting these new enhanced benefits yet. So I would say just to err on the side of caution, the general exclusion for mental health disorder is still on the annual plan, but there is a plan in the middle of the year to enhance the annual products.
Okay. So,
but I will find out on the other.
Well, you know what? And I just want to let everybody know, Sharon and her team are going to get all of your email addresses from registering here, and she'll also see all the questions. So she'll be able to take and answer that question accordingly. Okay. So, So if we want to sell Allianz, do they just go to joinalliancepartners.com?
Yes, you can go there, and or if you go to Allianz travelinsurance.com, there's also another place where you can sign up as a partner. It just says click on if you want to sign up as a partner, and then you can do everything online. It's an online form. It's called a participation agreement. It's very fast and easy, or you can go to that other website too. Okay. There's multiple places you can go to sign up as a partner.
Do you offer any specific plans for travel advisors?
We do. We have an annual plan for travel advisors. It's $139 for the year, and it covers trip cancellation up to $3,000 for the year, and then it has an interruption, and then it has baggage, travel delay, and medical. The $3,000 is for the entire year. So like I always buy it for myself every year, but then if I have personal travel that is going to be a little bit more expensive, or maybe I've had to make a couple claims on my annual plan, and I want to make sure, like I was going to Egypt, I was supposed to go in 2020 as the world collapsed, but that was an expensive trip. So I purchased an individual policy to make sure that I covered for that because it was going to be over the $3,000. So, and then all the other benefits, and this is true with all of our annual plans, there's a certain dollar value, and then that's it for the year. So if you use that dollar value, your first trip out, you're done for the year for trip cancellation, interruption, but all of the other benefits reset themselves. So if every time you travel, you have a baggage delay or a flight delay, each trip you take would just reset itself. So you can make as many claims as you have to for that year, but the trip cancellation interruption coverage is the one that has the max amount. And then once you run out of that benefit, then it's done for the year.
That's a great deal, actually. It's a really good idea. Okay, regarding the family situation that you mentioned, what is the parents and children? What if the parents and the children live in a different state than the grandparents?
Yeah, that's totally fine. So normally on our policies, we require that when you're selling a policy, you sell them by the household that the person resides. So even if you are doing a multi-generational trip, you would put, let's say grandma and grandpa live in Florida, adult mom and dad of family one live in New Jersey, adult family number two lives in California. You would just divide the trip costs evenly amongst all of the travelers and then sell it according to household. So that's how you do it. Now, if you've got grandma and grandpa that live in a different state and they're taking their grandchildren and adult parents aren't going, they just want to take the kids with them, they just would use their address. Same thing if you've got like a divorce situation where both parents live in different states and one parent is taking the children on a trip, but they have their main primary addresses in a different state, you would just list them under the parent that's taking them under their address. That's fine. The whole reason for us requiring that you're selling a policy according to the state they reside is because we have to pay taxes to the state where that policy is being sold or where that person resides. So this became an issue probably around 7-8 years ago, and that's why we require it. We're not trying to make your life difficult. It's the Department of Insurance that has made all of our lives difficult.
Yeah,
So that's why we require it. Yeah.
Yes, which we didn't expect. All right, so somebody did ask the question in regard to the travel advisor policy. Where do they purchase that?
If you currently sell Allianz, it's in your product offering. You just may not see it. You just need to scroll down to the bottom. It's probably listed at the very bottom of your product, and it's called Travel Protection Program.
Okay.
Or excuse me, professional travel program. Sorry, professional travel program.
Okay. A couple people asking about commission percentages.
Yeah. So our classic policy is 25%. Our premier policy is 35%, and our cancel anytime is 15%.
Okay.
So those would be our standard commissions, and they may vary depending upon consortia.
Okay. Somebody's also asking that they said that they always thought that all the pieces of the trip needed to be in place before buying a policy, which usually makes me miss the CFAR window. Is that true? Can you add transportation excursions after the initial deposit? I assume it changes the cost, of course.
Yes. So let's say, for example, you're booking a cruise, but the cruise is booked 2 years out, and we know you can't get your air yet. You can sell a policy to cover the cruise portion of the trip. And then once you purchase the air, you just need to upgrade the policy within 14 days of purchasing the air. And that's true for any additional component. So maybe you're doing pre and post hotels, but you don't have those arranged until, 6 months out, but you've already purchased the cruise. Or if you're adding shore excursions or something like that, you can just add on those additional components of the trip as you go along.
Okay.
But I recommend always trying to sell the insurance within the 14-day window because really it's important to waive pre-existing conditions. And let me just quickly run through how the pre-existing condition coverage or benefit works. So in order to qualify, the client has to purchase the insurance within 14 days of their initial trip deposit, and they have to cover all their non-refundable trip costs. So known non-refundable trip costs. So we know, to use the cruise example, but you don't have the air yet, we know the cruise is X, so you cover the cruise portion of the trip. And then once you solidify all the other components, then you upgrade the policy at that point. But let's just say we have a trip that we know all their components of the trip. Buy the insurance within 14 days, their pre-existing conditions are waived. If you don't purchase the insurance within 14 days, and there are other criteria that need to be met. So you have to buy it within 14 days. You have to be able to travel the day you purchase the insurance. So what we mean by that is they can't be calling you from a hospital bed saying, I'm sick today, but I hope in 6 months when I'm supposed to take my trip, I'll be better. They have to be able to travel the day they purchase the insurance, have to cover their non-refundable trip costs, and they have to be a U.S. resident. So if they meet that criteria, buy the insurance within 14 days, their pre-existing conditions are waived. If they don't buy the insurance within 14 days or miss one of those criteria, then we're going to look back 120 days from the day they purchased their policy to make sure that there are no changes in their medical condition. So, for example, I don't have any pre-existing medical conditions, but my mom is 90, my dad is 88. They've got a plethora of pre-existing conditions. I always buy the insurance for myself within the 14-day time frame to waive their pre-existing conditions because they have changes to their medical condition all the time. So who we consider as family members or immediate family members are parents, grandparents, children, nieces, nephews, in-laws, aunts, uncles, siblings, legal business partner, and caregivers. So a lot of times your traveler might say to you, well, I don't have any medical conditions. I'm fine. I don't need any pre-existing condition waiver, but they could have a family member that could cause them to cancel. So rule of thumb, sell it at the initial deposit stage so that you're waiving not only your traveler's pre-existing condition, but any family member that could potentially cause them to cancel their trip. So highly recommend doing it that way.
Great suggestion. I wish I'd have done that recently for a trip we had to cancel. Okay, I now live and learn, right? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, one other question here, and basically she's saying great presentation, which is lovely, but she had a kind of a specific question, but I'm going to mention it just in case. Notice that Colorado is not listed in the new enhanced changes. Is that correct? And that goes way back in the presentation, I think.
Yes. So that's correct to date. But that doesn't mean that they won't get it. We're just waiting on those handful of states to approve our products. So until they are in the marketplace, they won't have those products available to them. Or those enhancements
perfect.
available.
Well, that explains it then. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that was fantastic. I think we don't have any more. I think you've answered a lot of questions, and I think that we're all set up for the questions now. But a lot of people have posted, thank you so much for all this information, which is great. So we appreciate it so much. Thank you so much, and for being here today and taking the time out of your busy week, because I know as you're busy training people and working day by day, and Christmas is coming, and oh my gosh, what do we do?
I know. Really quick. I didn't mention, and I was remiss because I'm so focused on our new benefits. I just want to make sure everybody is clear and understands that we do cover for COVID. So if someone tests positive for COVID prior to travel, that is a covered reason to cancel your trip or interrupt your trip, even if you're asymptomatic. And even with our old policies, as I mentioned, New York and Washington are on a different version, and then we've got the other 48 states that are on a different version. Now we've got these new products. The COVID coverage will go across all of our plans. So you don't have to worry about any products that you're selling. They all cover for COVID. So I just want to make sure everybody is clear on that. But
okay. That's important as we're all seeing a surge right now.
Yeah, I know.
I
kept on saying, I'm like, I'll be so happy when I don't have to talk about COVID anymore. And then I kind of been doing these new product launches, and I'm like, oh, geez, I still need to remind people that we do cover for it. So, and in our mind, just like as we are listing the general exclusion for mental and nervous health disorder, COVID is just going to be considered a medical reason for cancellation. So it's just going to fall under a normal covered cancellation reason.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. We really appreciate everybody being on here today. And thanks you all for being here. And Sharon, thank you for a tremendous presentation. Great information. Wishing everybody, if I don't see you on another webinar in the next couple of weeks, we still got some more coming up. But if not, everybody have a great holiday season, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good one. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Sharon. Bye-bye.